Hey, what's up? This is Jason Drone. Welcome to today's video. So today's video is number 2 in this 4-part video series. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about putting together your slide deck. Now, your slide deck is going to be the most pivotal, quintessential kind of piece of sales material you have for your offer, whether that's for a product or a service or a consulting offer, a coaching offer, or a mastermind or whatever. Your pitch deck is going to be the thing that actually sells your prospects into your offer. And today's video is all about taking action. So we are going to get started by putting together your presentation today. So what we're going to do now is we are going to recap the previous video number 1, and then we're going to get into the new stuff, all right?
In the triple threat video, you learned that creating an event is the quickest path to cash in your market. You also discovered, or perhaps were reminded, that the AIDA principle is alive and well in advertising. And AIDA stands for attract, interest, desire, action. And you also found out that in modern digital marketing terms, the fastest way to get started selling is through a webinar. Today, we're going to walk through the process of setting one up in your business so that you can get started selling faster. First things first, you need a piece of software that will let you create slides on your computer. Google has some free software that you can use to set up the webinar slides, appropriately named slides. If you've got a PC, you've probably got PowerPoint. If you're on a Mac, you might use Keynote. Really, the software matters a whole lot less than what you might think. You just need to have something to present on the screen to your attendees. The first thing to realize is that webinars aren't perfect. The audio can be wonky, the slides might not be perfectly synced up to your voice, plus if you work at home, your dog can bark or your cat can jump up on your desk. Happens to me all the time. That stuff really doesn't matter. Your attendees know that you're presenting in an imperfect environment. You can even tell them. And they're there to absorb the information that you're giving. Along that same line of thought, it's okay if your webinar isn't pretty. It doesn't have to be. I've found the darker backgrounds with light letters work well. You might have your own personal preference. Typically, I get the best conversions when I'm presenting on black or dark gray backgrounds. Additionally, you don't need a whole lot of images or pretty graphics either. Your folks are there to learn and be entertained. If you want to use graphics, that's awesome. If not, that's okay too. I generally only use graphics when I'm showing something specific that will help them understand a little bit better, like screenshots. I don't randomly include background pictures or other niceties in webinars. To me, it's much more important to deliver a quality presentation and make sure that what's taught is well received. What's important for you right now is that you take action, that you do something and get this process started. So we're going to start by getting your webinar written. The first thing you're going to want to do is give it a title slide. This will normally be the title of your webinar, and it needs to be benefit laden and also very easy to understand. So you want to make sure to spell out the big overall benefit that your attendee is going to be receiving because they are signing up for and attending your webinar. And you also want to reinforce the fact that it is going to be a step-by-step process. There's, a couple steps or a couple stages or a couple parts or whatever, that when you bring all those things together, then they're going to be able to have some end desired result. After you create a title slide, slide number 2 is where you include the specific points you'll be covering in the webinar. These are the big benefits for attending, the big takeaways. It's important to pack as much information and training into your webinar as possible. And as you can see on your screen, this one is discover exactly how to get high-end leads, the number 1 sales mechanism, step-by-step phone script, the closed loop sales process. An attendee is going to be able to take all of that and use it in their business immediately after the webinar is over. You want your attendees to learn something in the time they spend with you. That's why they're there. Don't take offense to this, but they don't care who you are or where you come from. They are taking time out of their day to spend on your webinar for a reason, not because they have nothing better to do. Slide number 2 is where you tell them what you're going to deliver. And really, it's what sets up the entire rest of the presentation. Slide number 3 is usually where you introduce yourself. So, hey, my name is Jason Drone. I'm a former Pepsi truck driver. I'm a quickest path to gas strategist, super affiliate, business consultant. The main reason for introducing yourself is to connect with the audience. Some people will identify with your background. I can't tell you how many truck drivers I've heard from over the years. And really, your webinar is made up of 2 people. folks that know you and folks that don't. Your list and your friends, they know who you are. For those who are new to you, and even if you're doing just an internal webinar with your list, there's going to be new people for whatever reason, sharing links and so on. For your attendees who are new to you, introduce yourself to them and give a brief glimpse of what you do. You don't need to go off on a tangent talking about all the rewards you received and all the reasons why they should care. Let your content, the next slides, speak for themselves in proving your worth. Don't include pictures of your cars or houses or boats. What works in today's market is transparency. When you're transparent, you will sell more product at higher prices because people will trust what you have to say. Plus, you'll seem much more approachable. After slide 3, it's important to get some engagement from our audience. So we want to encourage some conversation. This is where we make sure that they're attentive and receptive to what we're about to deliver. Usually, I like to ask some questions at this point. The questions should be related to what your webinar topic is all about, starting from being very generic to being more specific. So examples here, do you have your own products? Do you primarily sell affiliate products? Are you scared of paying for traffic? Encourage them to enter their answers in the question box and start telling you a little bit about their story. When you're doing your webinar in a live environment, this gives you some very valuable intel on how to structure the rest of the slides. And don't worry about pausing and waiting for them to find the question box and type in their answers. As you're delivering your content, you can tailor your slides to fit individual people who are on the call. So Bob, you're trying to get people to attend your $10,000 workshop? Pay attention to this. Or Sandra, this strategy is particularly suited to you. You want more downloads, this is how you get them. Or Dennis, you want to get your fiance back? This is what you say to her. Now, starting with slide 6 or 7, you start getting into your training, the content piece. It's difficult to say exactly how many slides you're going to need to get through the content of your webinar, but know this. You've already told your audience what they're going to be learning. Do your best to fulfill on that promise. If it takes 6 slides, awesome. If it takes 40 slides, that works too. What's important is that your content payload is delivered and your audience is able to take action with the webinar. What I usually do is state the steps of the process and then walk the audience through the process using both text and any images or screenshots that I need. I want my attendees to be able to walk away with a working understanding of the topic so that they can follow through with whatever I showed them. Then we transition into the sales pitch. This is sometimes the most difficult part of the entire webinar. It's tough delivering value and then moving into a sales pitch. It just is. Let me share a secret with you. When you believe wholeheartedly in your product, it's much easier. Just realizing that you can only deliver so much on a webinar, short of doing it for them, the next logical step is to offer to help them more. This is something that took me a long time to get over. I was weird about offering anything for sale. I wanted to keep teaching, so it was hard for me to ask for money. Know this, if you run a webinar and don't offer a way to get more access to you or your information, you're doing a disservice to the folks on your call. As long as you're providing value, there's a natural progression for some of them to get into your products and services. You're never going to sell 100% of your audience, but you will sell a good number of them. Now, when you make your transition from the content to the pitch, it's important to manage it. The dead giveaway is where you see someone use the line, "We're all out of time, but I packaged up what I know into blank course." To me, that's a cop-out. I'm just saying. A much better transition is, we've covered a lot today and I don't want to overload you, so I put everything I know into a video course. Or even better, you've just learned how to do X, Y, and Z. That'll get you started. Over the past few months, I've put together a course that'll fill in all the blanks and get you there faster. When your product or service allows your customer to do something faster or better, there's a natural sale there. Why put in all the hard work when there's a much easier way? That's what your webinar attendee is going to be thinking as they're listening to you. Now, after your transition, it's all about turning that prospect into a customer. You're going to want to build up the price of your product by going through all of the features and benefits it delivers and walking your attendees through the transformation that they'll experience because of your product. Make sure not to draw it out too much, though. This is where an attendee is starting to think about bailing. After you build up your product, talking about the modules, benefits, bonuses, reveal the price and the buy now link. Sometimes you can do what's known as a price drop. where you add up all the value and all the training and then discount it to be significantly reduced. Or you can reveal the price and then stack on the bonuses. My personal favorite is a fast action bonus. With a fast action bonus, you give something special away for a certain period of time. If your audience is particularly actionable, you can do a 20-minute bonus. Look for a countdown timer online and set it to tick away. You can do a multi-day bonus where you offer to give away something special when they buy in the next 48 hours or whatever the case may be. This is important because scarcity forces a buyer to take action. If they have to make a decision in a certain amount of time, it'll make them act. Plus, it'll give you a reason to email them and urge them to buy. And the follow-up is extremely important in webinar marketing. After your price and link reveal, it's time to close up shop. If you have a guarantee stated, whether that be 30 days or 60 days, then you'll want to let your attendees ask questions. They might be questions about your offer or you, or questions about your webinar content. Either way, make sure to answer them. Now, there are some things that I want to point out about doing sales webinars. There's lots of ways to structure the call to action in the pitch. So the call to action can either be a URL that your prospects type in to their web browser and buy. It can be a hot link right to an order form. And my absolute personal favorite is you can collect leads for sales calls. It's the most profitable way too. So you give them a link to go fill out a form, pick a time to get on the phone with you, and you sell them a course or coaching or consulting or whatever. Your call to action needs to be congruent with your offer and your business goals. With that said, you can sell just about anything on these webinars. You can sell digital courses, ebooks, consulting, coaching, events, services, memberships. A good rule of thumb is that if your product is under $1,000, you can post right to a URL where your leads can buy. If you're selling something above $1,000, you'll be better served to have them schedule a call with you so you can go through the specific application of what it is you're selling to your buyer. It used to be that you could sell products on a webinar for up to $3,000, but those days are pretty much gone. If you've got 1,000 people on a call, that might fly, but that's not normally the case. Which leads me to the next step, getting folks to sign up for your webinar. And that's what we'll be talking about in video number 3. Getting qualified traffic and leads signed up and attending your webinar. Traffic that wants what you're offering and will show up to join in on your webinar and ask questions and learn and ultimately buy. And remember back in the first video where I said the webinars are great lead magnets? Well, video 3 is where that'll come in. In the next video, I'll show you how to set up a marketing campaign for your webinar from scratch so that you can reach your ideal prospect and get them to sign up and attend your presentation, bonding with you, learning from you, and ultimately buying from you. That new video will be ready in the next few days.
All right, so that is how to put together a sales presentation, a pitch deck for your prospects. Now, if you need help putting this together, if you want some help in the copywriting piece, if you want some help in the sequencing or the buying triggers or the psychology of it, or even just somebody to get it done for you, then go ahead, click the button below and start a project with us. We'd be happy to walk through your offer, talk about what's going on in your business, what your goals are, and what this thing is for, and ultimately figure out who is going to be watching it. So hit the button below, start your project, and in the next video, we're going to talk about actually getting in front of your prospects.